Cedric is joining us from his friend's house in Decatur, Georgia. Hi, Cedric.
Hi, Oprah. How are you?
Oh, good. What's your question for our spiritual panel?
I'm a 33-year-old guy. I grew up in a rural part of Alabama, and I happen to be gay. And
the troubling part of our culture, which is largely anti-gay, being gay is a gift from God, but our culture doesn't understand that. And consequently, the culture sends messages that you ought to isolate. And isolation is the antithesis of what all of us need. We need community. We simply can't do spirituality. We can't be our best self. We can't be fully alive without a community.
Well, you are the first minister I ever heard say being gay is a gift from God. I can tell you that.
But now you're here too.
Now you're here too. Okay.
Well, now you're here too. And that has nothing to do.
You are the first two ministers I ever heard say being gay is a gift from God.
Well, of course it is.
Absolutely. First of all, we're not talking religion here. We're talking spirituality. And Cedric didn't just happen to be gay.
Right.
You know, people don't just happen to be gay. You know, when people are born, they have that type of orientation. So he is gay by divine right. And so we need to understand that. So he has gifts and talents and capacities that he's supposed to deliver to this particular society. Now, there are certain religions that would frown on that and make it some kind of wrath from God or this type of thing. But spirituality is indicating that he's the image and likeness of God just as he is.
Yes, yes. So do you believe that, Cedric? Do you believe that?
well, honestly, prior to the show today, I hadn't really grasped it. But since watching most of the guests on here today and listening to what you guys have to say, I think I'm going to leave here with a renewed vision. So I'm getting it.
Thank you so much, Cedric. We'll be right back. Well, I don't think there's anyone out there who doesn't want to feel more connected, more present, and more alive this year. That's what I call spirituality, being connected, present, and alive. Today is day 3 of our Best Life Week. Happy New Year again, everybody. And this is something that I not only love to talk about, but try to also walk this walk. The best days for me are days when I have those spiritual aha moments, that you're going to see some of those later on in the show today. And whether you're religious or not, I hope that this show will begin to help you find a deeper connection to begin to live a richer, more fulfilling life, to understand why you're really here on earth. And before we get started, I want us all just to take a deep breath wherever you are, listening to me, watching right now. Let's breathe ourselves into this present moment. Thank you for that. Okay, for our Best Life class today, we're joined by some of my favorite spiritual teachers. Reverend Michael Bernard Beckwith, who is the founder of Agape International Spiritual Center. All of you Agape members out there, yes, he's here. And author of the new spiritual book. It's called Spiritual Liberation. And Elizabeth Lesser, who is the author of The Seeker's Guide and Broken Open. She also co-founded the Omega Institute. And the Reverend Ed Bacon, who is rector of All Saints Episcopal Church in Pasadena, who doesn't have a book, but welcome.
Thank you.
Yes.
I read their books.
You read their book. Reverend Ed, we're going to start with you. Let's define spirituality. Go ahead. Tell us what you think it means.
Well, I agree with you about connection. It is about our being connected with one another and being connected with the cosmos. It is the process of being healed, forgiven, empowered to go into the world, to be fully alive. But for me, the key to that, the doorway to that, is having an experience of being unconditionally and fully loved.
Elizabeth, your definition?
To me, spirituality it's an instinct. Like we have an instinct to go to sleep, to drink water, to eat. There's this instinct inside of each and every one of us that there's more to life than meets the eye. There's something greater out there than our daily grind. And spirituality is the fearlessness to look at that something else. What is it? It's the fearlessness to ask the big questions. Who am I? What's my purpose in life? Where do we go when we die? And how do we live a fully alive, meaningful, giving, generous life when we're here.
Okay, so everybody's asked that question of yourself, is this all there is? Well, spirituality answers that question.
That's right.
Yes. Reverend Beckwith.
Right. When we're connected to the love, the peace, the harmony, the wisdom, these are all eternal qualities. They're not transitory, they're not temporary, they're real and they're eternal. And so an individual is connected to those qualities and begins to exude them and express them. At that moment, they're in the spirit. They're in that spiritual realm. And when an individual is feeling that connection of love and peace and harmony, they're feeling their real essence, that which you take with you when you die.
All right. And so today what we want to do, and if you all have questions, please, because a lot of this is very confusing to people, but I'm telling you, when you understand that you are more than your body, that you really are the spirit in the body, in a human body that's experiencing this life as a human being, but that you really are a spiritual entity, come from whatever you want to call it. I call it God. A lot of people call it source or universal energy. I call it God. I think God doesn't get hung up on the titles. It's the people that get hung up on the titles. But when you begin to realize that you are more than your body, that your purpose is greater than your profession or your career, that every life, because you were born, you have a right to be here, and there is a calling on your life. It means you live your life without fear, and you know that no matter what happens, you are going to be all right. You are going to be all right. That's what spirituality is for me.